next guest is the program director of the Riverview Boys and Girls Club, and we're here to talk about Raise the Grade. It is Matt McKeegan. Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And first question will be, what exactly is Raising the Grade?
Raise the Grade at its core level, it's an after-school academic enrichment program for high school students. It runs in a lot of different communities, so different communities represent that in different ways. For us, we really wanted to focus in on helping students make it to graduation, overcome any barriers they have standing between them and graduation day, but also get them ready for what the world's going to be like on the other side of graduation. So what types of careers are you going to be looking into? Where do you want to go to school? And all that kind of stuff. So it takes a lot to help students figure that out. So we like to focus primarily on what are your hobbies, what are your interests, what do you do for fun, and then we'll kind of suss out some careers and ideas for that through those avenues.
So does this start by kind of having a preliminary meeting and then kind of feeling out what the interests are? How does it work?
It can vary. Sometimes we'll have students who'll actually come to us. They'll hear about us when we go into the schools to talk about the program, or we'll have a teacher hear about us and they'll kind of refer the student to us. It always has to be that the student wants to come to the program. They identify that they have a need for what it is we're offering, and then they'll buy into it. But they can come to us through a lot of different avenues. So.
All right. So, and in terms of, I remember at least when I was in high school, and I'm sure it's the same for you as well, that high school and academics as a whole is kind of leaned towards, well, you're going to follow this progression. You're going to go to high school, then you're going to look at going to university, and then you're going to look at going to, and if you're a student that maybe that isn't the best fit for you. And that's not necessarily to say that you're smart or you're dumb or you're this or you're that, but maybe it's just not the best fit for you. So,
there you go.
And sometimes when you're in that environment, you never really know where to turn, and that's where programs like this can really come in.
Exactly, and I think that's why such a big part of our program is focusing on the kids' hobbies and what they do for fun, so that as a youth worker, the staff who's running that program, then they're going to look at those hobbies and think, is there an industry around that? Are there people making money doing that? How can I get this young person involved in a career that they're genuinely going to love doing? And maybe that doesn't mean your typical university path or college path. Maybe it's a trade, maybe it's something that they can be an entrepreneur and start on their own. So a lot of that's going to come down to the ability of the person running the program to identify what the needs of each youth are in the program and adapt activities to suit those needs.
So let's bust that open a little bit. Let's talk about what are some examples of ideas that that you guys have been able to accommodate through the program.
Yeah, I think like a great example of just how we go from hobby to career to academic success. There's this one like really young guy. He actually started the program before high school because he heard about it and just fell in love with the concept. It runs out of a really cool tech lab, and I think that encourages a lot of kids to just be like, I want to be a part of that. So
I want to be in that building.
Yeah, that's where I want to be. I want to own it. So all he knew is kind of where it was running and what the general outline of the program was, and he like pleaded. He's like, I will put all the work you need in. Just please let me be a part of this program. And obviously, we can't say no to someone who's just so devoted to that. And this kid was someone he viewed school as just an avenue to play football. He had no interest in his academic progress there. He really just wanted to get on the high school team, hopefully play for university. And his version of like his realistic goal for what he's going to do after high school was to play for the CFL, because he felt like, I want to be realistic here. I might not make it in the NFL, but CFL.
To which, to his credit, there have been 2 Riverview High players that have gone on to play in the CFL.
There you go. So he had his sights set, and he knew what he wanted to do. But by participating in the program, I remember one day he showed up, and we were doing a hobby program for another kid who wanted to be like a YouTube celebrity. So we were making YouTube videos, and this guy shows up, and he's talking about what are we going to do today? What do you guys want to do for an activity? And we're saying like, well, we're filming YouTube videos. Do you have anything you'd like to do? And he got this great idea. He's like, I'm going to do a instructional video on how to punt a football. And he's just like, I can start a tutorial channel just about football, and it'll meet my needs and all that. And it's great. Like, awesome. Okay, you do that. Let's make that happen. So while we're doing this, we started a conversation around, okay, well, what kind of careers are there in athletics? So let's say you want to, if you're going to play for a university team, you got to be studying something in university. They're not going to teach you like football 101 or something like that. So he starts, really digging into, okay, well, maybe if I'm not an athlete, how can I still be involved in this career that I'm so passionate about and I want to be a part of? And after bouncing around a few different ideas, he landed very steadily in he wants to be a kinesiologist.
Okay.
So he was in grade 8 when we had that conversation, and I just actually did a YouTube video with him a year ago, and he's in grade 11 now, and he basically walks you through that exact same story, but from his perspective. And he's got his universities planned out. His grades are where they need to be to get into his university. And that whole path from talking about what are your hobbies to let's plan out a career to now he's achieving that academic success that he wants to get so he can achieve that career. So I think that's a really, it really embodies what it is we're trying to do in the program. And he was gracious enough to share that story with us. And anyone can check out our Facebook page at Boys and Girls Club of Riverview on Facebook. And he has a video where he tells that exact same story from his perspective. And it's pretty inspirational to hear someone share their own story from our program. So
yeah, no kidding. As it went from athletics to how do we get a career out of playing football, and kinesiology, really the science of medical injury, basically. You know, the science of athletics, and you know, there you go. So, you know, it's sometimes you got to pull some strings, but you can find the way to get there. Yeah,
and sometimes I think the important thing is it has to be really organic. Like, you don't want to force these things, and it was very much him coming up with this process every step of the way. We were just kind of guiding him through it and encouraging the conversation, not unlike a host of a TV show might do. Just encouraging the conversation and letting the youth kind of come up with their own ideas.
So and a lot of that plays with the idea that the kids want to be there, which really also helps. You know, because if someone wants to be there and do what they're doing, it's much easier to engage. It's much easier to get some of those ideas out.
If anybody works with high school students or has a high school student living in their house, they'll know it's pretty much the hardest thing is to get them out of the house to do something, and especially if you're trying to sell them academics. Like, it's doubly hard to say, hey, I know you just spent like 6 hours in school. Now I want you to go to this place. They're going to make you do another half hour of homework, and we're going to talk about the rest of your life. It's not a great sell, so what we really have to do is let them know, like, this program is about you, for you, and really made by you, because it's your hobbies and your interests that we're bringing in, and we're building these, you know, we're going to make a YouTube video today, or we're going to do whatever it is that your hobby entails. We're going to find a way to implement that into our programs. That's what makes us a good youth worker, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned that, and that really leads to the next question, is how do you sell it on a macro level? You know, how do you get kids interested in this?
I think the first step is helping them understand what it is we're trying to do. We're providing a service. We're helping you overcome any hurdles you may have between yourself and graduation. So if they identify, like, yes, I do have a need for that. And sometimes the need isn't necessarily I'm struggling in math or I'm struggling in this. Maybe it's, you know, at home I don't necessarily have a quiet space to study because my siblings are always, you know, making noise. Or maybe it's I'm having a really hard time feeling connected to my school. I'm not connecting with people socially. I'm not, you know, there's a million reasons why someone might identify a need for the program, but it's important that they understand what we're offering and understand that they want that. So then usually what we'll do is we'll bring them into our awesome tech center and let them see the really fun space that we have. We have board games lined up on the walls because, you know, we ask them to do a lot of work, but we try to reward them with a lot of fun youth center, like a space that belongs to them. And once they get a feel for that, and usually once they see the space that we're running the program out of, they kind of fall in love, and they're in it at that point.
And this is part of this particular part of Raise the Grade is part of the Riverview Boys and Girls Club, of which you are the program director. And in case you're wondering, yes, you can go to bgcriverview.com and you can go and make a pledge, make a donation, and certainly fundraising does happen. And
absolutely, yeah.
You know, this is critical for these kind of programs for sure. So maybe we can explore a little bit more of the fundraising part.
Yeah, I think the important thing to know about our programs is that they're 100% free to anyone who wants to participate. So all of these services are provided free of cost. We drive the students from the school to the center, and we feed them while they're there, and we drive them home at the end of the program. And we don't charge them for any of this. So all of this is done through fundraising. A big one we have going on right now is our Toonie Gold Rush Draw. So there's a ton of locations. You can find them on our website, bgcriverview.com. And you can just put a toonie in, you're put into our 50-50 draw, you can win. I think we're looking at $1,200 this week. So it's a pretty good way to spend $2, and it all goes straight to the kids. So that's a great way to do that. We have another one coming up. It's the Garage Night. It's coming up in October. We just opened up, we're selling tables to that event. Basically, if hanging out in the garage, eating a barbecue meal with your friends sounds like a good time, this is that, but amplified on a big fundraiser level. So we're going to have a silent auction and some entertainment at the event as well. If that sounds like your cup of tea, then definitely check out our website. We have some more information on there as well.
Yeah, for sure. So be sure to go check that out. We have about a minute. So maybe we don't really have time to get into another anecdote, unfortunately, because I'd love to hear those. But
I could talk forever about those.
What are a couple of examples of other programs or situations that you guys have helped accommodate?
I mean, so the Boys and Girls Club, I think we build our base on identifying issues in the community that we aren't seeing addressed, and kind of bumping our heads against it and saying, how can we solve these problems, or how can we help with these problems? So one of the big things was things for teens to do in the evening. So we started up a program. It's our drop-in youth programs for 10 to 17-year-olds, and it's just a safe space for them to come in the evenings and hang out with their friends. It's a space that's, again, it's their own. It's totally free for them to be able to come to, and that's kind of our mentality around building new programs. So.
All right, so be sure to check it out, and you can watch it as it happens, because you can check the website and you can check the Facebook page, and there's a bunch of updates on there as well.
Absolutely.
BGC Riverview.com is the website. Had to check there one final time, but make sure
sometimes.
to do it. Sometimes it is. But Program Director Matt McKeegan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Mike.